Learning how to visualize properly changed my life. If you've been in the mindset space for a hot minute or picked up any form of personal development book or even watched a motivational video at any point in your life, I'm willing to bet that you have come across the term visualization. It is one of the most powerful tools out there to reach your highest potential and achieve any goals that you have. So as someone with big goals and always looking for ways to improve myself, I hopped on the visualization train ASAP. But I very quickly hit a setback. I would put on a 15-minute guided visualization meditation and spend the entire time fidgeting, thinking about my to do list. And I would even scale it back to just 3 minutes. And even then, I would still struggle to see what I desire in my mind's eye. And so, to no surprise, I quickly became very unmotivated, discouraged, which led me to skipping my entire practice in its entirety, only to feel really guilty and ashamed later on when I came across the many posts on Instagram talking about how important visualization is when it comes to your personal growth. And if you don't fully understand the importance of visualization, it is basically hinged on the concept that the more you normalize your goals, the more likely it is for you to achieve it, whether that goal is in money, health, relationship, etc. And because your brain cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined, visualization is a great way to normalize your goals so that you can achieve it faster and more effortlessly. And by the way, if you want to achieve any goals that you have, be sure to check out my step by step system above, where I show you how to completely rebrand your life in just 30 days. And knowing the importance of visualization, I was determined to master this. And so I completely immersed myself in the teaching of world class experts in neuroscience, human performance, mindset, and I've learned a couple hacks that completely changed my life that led me to building my dream business, moving across the world, attracting thousands of dollars out of nowhere, and completely elevating my self concept and self worth. So, in this video, I'm gonna be spilling every single little secrets I've learned. So the first thing you need to understand is how your brain processes and stores information. Because with visualization, what we're essentially doing is to feed your brain with new memories and information so that it can normalize the reality that we want. And so when I first started visualizing, I used to take the term so literally, which means that I would literally lie in bed at night thinking about the goal that I desire in terms of shapes, patterns, details, colors, anything visual, until I actually realized and understood that our subconscious brain process information not just in terms of the visual way, but also in terms of auditory, what you hear, and kinesthetic, what you feel. And depending on your individual state, some people would favor one way of storing information over the other. Take me, for example, my brain prefers to store information in terms of audio and kinesthetic. So, can you see how visualizing in terms of visual picture is literally the least effective way for me to visualize? So, when I started focusing on the auditory and kinesthetic elements within my visualization, my practice became 10 times more powerful. Let me give you an example. So let's say one of my goals is to increase the income in my business. So instead of just seeing the numbers on my bank account that I want, I started incorporating more auditory elements. So let's say, for example, a client coming to me and telling me how excited they are to start working together, or a client coming to me saying that I've changed her life completely. And I would start also incorporating kinesthetic element, meaning how I feel, into the visualization. So this would look like feeling intense gratitude and emotion when someone told me that they changed their life, and just feeling so grateful that I get to live in my purpose doing what I love. So to help you assess how your subconscious stores information, I'll be asking you this one question, and I want you to really pay attention to how you know the answer. And the question is, when was the last time you had dinner with a friend? How do you know the answer? Do you visually see your friend's face in your mind's eye? Do you see the restaurant setting around you? Do you hear maybe the snippets of conversation you had with your friend? Or do you feel that joy and the laughter that comes with that connection? That is one way of finding out. And the other way of finding out how your subconscious store information is by looking at the common phrases that you use. If you are someone who stores information visually, you would typically say something like, yeah, I see what you mean, or that looks right. If you store information via the auditory route, this would sound like, yeah, I hear you. Yep, that that sounds good. Sounds good. If you are someone who stores information kinesthetically, this would look like, I feel you. I feel you. And that feels kind of off. That is how you know how your subconscious favors one way over the other. And bearing in mind that your subconscious will be storing information in all three levels, it just tend to favor one over the other. So comment below, what is your most powerful way of storing memories and recalling information? For me personally, it goes from auditory to kinesthetic to visual. So, knowing how your subconscious stores memory alone is already going to make a huge difference to your visualization practice. But what if you are someone who's just really restless, or maybe you struggle with ADHD? Don't worry, I feel you. So, I've got a couple hacks for some of you guys out there who are struggling with like extra excess energy. The first way to tap into that focus state is to do your visualization practice right after you wake up or right before you go to sleep, like literally the half an hour after you wake up or before you go to sleep, because this is when your brain is not only the least active and least wired, but also the most relaxed, which means that it will enter theta brainwave state, which is the brainwave state that is called the gateway to your subconscious. This is where your subconscious is the most open to suggestion, and that means that anything you feed into it, anything you visualize, will be the most well absorbed. The second way to tap into that focus state is to pair your visualization practice with any form of somatic practices. These practices are designed to help you get out of your head and into your body by incorporating more physical elements to it. My favorite way of doing so is through EFT tapping or breath work. And I'm going to link a couple resources in the description box below. So, what you can do is to do a quick, like 3 5 minutes EFT or breathwork rounds before going into the visualization practice, so you will be met with less mental resistance. Okay, so let's say you've already tried the couple ways to tap into the focus state, but you are still struggling with visualization. Don't worry. Again, you are not alone in this. So many people out here are struggling with meditation and visualization still. So what I'm going to do is to give you a couple alternative that you can either swap visualization out for to achieve the same end goal, or layer it on to achieve your goals faster. Now, the first way is through scripting. This is one of my favorite journaling technique. And because it involves physically writing things out, it reduces the mental distraction because you are literally channeling your mental energy into the physical movement of writing. And in a little bit, I'm going to be talking about what to actually journal and what to actually visualize. So stay tuned for that. But for now, I want to talk about the second alternative, which is to create an alter ego, right? You see celebrities like Beyonce do this all the time. But when you're able to create this alter ego version of you who has achieved everything that you have desired, it makes the whole process a lot more engaging, a lot more fun, a lot less resistance, a lot more playful. And so when you can just practice slipping into a character every now and then, that does wonders when it comes to familiarizing and exposing your brain to a new reality. Now, the third way is through subliminals. These are recorded affirmations that are designed to flood your entire brain with this new reality, and you can literally listen to it as you work or as you go to sleep and play it out throughout the night, right? This is so effective, and there are tons of subliminals available on YouTube, but the most powerful ones are always going to be the ones that you record with your own voice. So when your subconscious hear it, it just feels like it's already done because it's in your voice. So now that you know how to visualize, let's talk about what to actually visualize in order to maximize your focus, motivation, and resilience. Because we all know that there's going to be bumps in the road for sure. And so being able to overcome these bumps is crucial when it comes to achieving your goals. And don't feel like you have to visualize everything I'm about to tell you in one go. You can break it up throughout the day or throughout the week. So obviously you know that the outcome is the main one to focus. So what happens when you actually achieve that goal? But the second thing I want you to visualize is also the process. So, what are the steps and actions that you need to take in order to achieve that goal? So, for example, if you are a content creator, I want you to be visualizing getting great content ideas regularly and being excited about transferring those ideas into content. The next thing I want you to visualize is the identity of the person who has already achieved that result that you want. Now, watch this video above to understand the importance of identity when it comes to achieving your goals. But essentially, what you want to do is to rehearse the traits of that kind of the person who has achieved the goal that you want. So, for example, when I was training for my first 10K race, I just keep telling myself, I'm an athlete, I'm an athlete, I'm an athlete. Now, we all know that obstacles and challenges are part of the game, so why not set ourselves up for success by visualizing and mentally rehearsing ourselves overcoming them effectively? Michael Phelps has this really famous story where he visualized himself with in a specific scenario where his goggles, his swimming goggles, would leak and fill up with water and therefore obstructing all his vision. And this scenario actually came true in the 2008 Olympics. His goggles fill up with water, and yet he still persisted and broke the world's record. Now, the next thing I want you to rehearse and visualize is the emotional stress level. So if you know that you are prone to nerves, to anxiety, to stress, practice yourself being really calm and composed under those circumstances. Let's say, for example, you get nervous whenever it comes to presenting in your workplace. So practice yourself standing in front of the meeting room and feeling that nerve, but also breathing through it and finishing your presentation with calm and composure. The last one is potentially one of the most important one, which is to rehearse, reset, and recovery. So what this means is that rehearse yourself bouncing back from any mistakes made or any days missed so that when you do fall off the wagon, you know to bounce back really quickly. And if you find yourself falling off the wagon quite often, check out my video above on building discipline without the rigidity, extreme stress, or grind. I hope by now that I've given you a different way of thinking about visualizing your goals, but I'm just going to recap real quick so that you know exactly what steps to take today so you can start seeing results ASAP, right? The first thing you want to do is to get really clear on how your subconscious recall and store information. And the next thing you want to do is to start incorporating somatic practices into your visualization practice so that you get out of your head and into your body, which makes visualization all the more powerful. And the third thing you want to do is either layer in or swap out visualization with the alternative practices that I talk about, like scripting, alter ego, and subliminals. And then the next thing you want to do is to practice in different scenarios that I've listed out around what to visualize in order to fully maximize your practice. I hope that you have found this video helpful. And if you do, I would so appreciate it if you could like, comment, and subscribe. That would mean the world to me and help me put out more of these videos.